Hey everybody, it's February 14th.
And what is that?
Happy Valentine's Day. On top of that, today is our 38th wedding anniversary. Happy anniversary, baby.
Happy anniversary.
So we thought we're headed to, where are we headed? We're headed to Hilton Head. We're headed to go see my parents for a quiet weekend with my parents. And they live in Bluffton, which is just outside of Hilton Head proper. My sister lives about 3 miles down the road. So we are getting away from the RV and we are going to go down and have a quiet weekend with family.
Yep.
And we started thinking about the number of people that don't make it to their 38th wedding anniversary. If that's you, I'm sorry. Or if you're working towards it, you can do it. But the RV life can either enhance your relationship or it can destroy your relationship. A few videos ago, we talked about a couple that we worked with in Montana who ended up getting divorced while at the work camping job, and one spouse stayed and the other spouse went all the way back to somewhere on the East Coast,
yeah.
Pennsylvania or somewhere, I forget. But anyway, I thought we would use this time and let Cindy tell you how awesome I am. And
okay, yeah, that's what this whole video is going to be about.
So I think, or we think, I can speak for myself, I think that living in a small space, traveling together as a couple who are empty nesters, has done a lot to enhance our relationship. And I thought I would let Cindy, who's not been on a lot of videos lately because we've been working a lot lately, give you a perspective from a woman's side, and then I'll chime in as I always do by interrupting her and throwing my 2 cents in mid-sentence and totally frustrating her. So babe, before I frustrate you, what do you think about living tiny, leaving traditional sticks and bricks to do our own thing?
Well, first of all, I think it helps you be more in tune with the person you're living with.
Tuning in Tokyo.
I can read him like a book, which a lot of wives who have been married this long can do.
Yes.
We can tell when they're starting to get frustrated. We can tell when they're upset about something. You just get to know each other on a whole different level, I think.
Yeah.
And it's a lot easier in a small space to stay in tune with each other and talk and understand when one person doesn't go to one room and the other person goes to another room and they may not talk for half the day.
So I'll jump in and expand on that. So in our house, we had a 5-bedroom farmhouse out in rural America, Eastover, South Carolina. And we had at one time 9 people living in this farmhouse. When everybody came home from work, because we homeschooled, and the kids required when they were 15 or above, they had to go earn money to pay for car insurance and their cell phone and that sort of stuff. But everybody would come home and they would all go to their respective rooms. They would have, the older kids would go upstairs to their bedroom. The younger kids would segregate themselves in the living room, or as we called it, the TV room. My mother-in-law would shut herself up in her bedroom. Cindy would be in the kitchen or somewhere doing Cindy stuff. And I would be in my bedroom, our bedroom, watching TV and just relaxing from a hard day at work. And really, even though we were all in the same house for hours every day, we didn't spend any time together.
No, we didn't. Everybody was too busy doing their own thing.
But in the RV, it's different, isn't it?
It is.
How is it different, babe?
We spend every waking moment in this size.
So our RV is about 300 square feet, closed. And when we open her up, she grows to a whopping 320
Woo!
square feet. And we have in this 320 square feet 4 TVs. That's not the way we designed it.
We use one.
We only use one. We don't watch the TV in the bedroom. We don't watch the TV in the captain's area, which is where you drive. We don't watch TV outside. I think that TV's only been turned on once in the 6 years we've been living in our motorhome. But we either are on the sofa together with the dog and cat, or we're in the bedroom together. I mean, we spend 24 hours a day.
Well,
every
yeah,
day.
because we don't.
We work together, live together.
Well, and
Love together.
even when we're in the living space area, I'm cooking dinner, you're sitting there watching TV. We're still actually in the same room together. And, you know, people may say this isn't good, but we have a ottoman that has a tabletop that will lift up.
Which we just replaced for our anniversary present for each other.
That's right. Where we eat dinner. Sometimes we eat dinner watching a movie or TV show, and sometimes we don't. But we're 9 times out of 10 in that little living space just together.
Now, if I am working on a YouTube video, I will go to the front of the RV and sit in the passenger's chair where there's a desk. But Cindy could easily reach out if she needed me. We can talk to each other while we're there, because even though she's in the living room and we have to go through the kitchen, dining room to the office space.
You just made that sound so big.
It's only like 18 feet from her to me of open space with no doors.
Oh,
So
that's funny.
I find that living in an RV and in a small space together, that we are much closer to one another. We're more in tune with each other's feelings. We can immediately sense if someone is having a bad day or a good day, or if there's something on their mind. And because we can immediately sense that, we can also immediately react. Now, it's up to you if you react good or bad. I always try to act good. I'm not always successful, depending on her mood. But when we were living in our traditional house...
But he has his moods too.
Yes, but we were living in a traditional house where we had over 2,500 square feet and 5 acres of yard and woodlots on either side and a pond. It was easy to not be in tune because you're not really spending a lot of time with each other. Now, there's something else that we have found positive about living in a small space, is we don't have all the junk and stuff that we used to have that would bring us apart from one another. I had an outside barn that I had all my tools in on one side, and I had built a man cave on the other side where I had all my ham radio equipment, and I could go out there for hours and talk to perfect strangers all over the world. Meanwhile, the person that's most important to me was just inside the house and we weren't talking.
Yep.
And I could go out there for hours and tinker with the lawnmower or mess in one of the 4 outbuildings, messing with the chickens, with the goats, down at the pond house. I mean, there was a ton of things. If I didn't want to have an uncomfortable conversation because someone was in a bad mood, I'm not going to say who, then I could easily come up with a reason to not deal with it and just move on. But I think living in a small space almost makes you handle situations as they arise, good and bad, but that immediate handling keeps things from festering and building, and I think it really makes us
Well,
closer.
you just notice things. I mean, you're not distracted by all the other stuff, so you notice it.
Right. But now on the other hand, if you need a lot of space, this probably isn't going to be good for your relationship. If you can't figure out how to communicate,
It'll be difficult.
Yeah. I mean, we have seen...
But we've also seen people who do require space, like we have our outdoor gazebo.
Yeah.
Who would leave the camper, go to the gazebo to have their alone time or
Right.
their space. Or they would go on a walk, or, they would leave the camper and, just be in nature, go on a walk, a bike ride, or if they had an outdoor sitting space, just go there. And some people do require that. Alec and I don't.
No.
Although I do think sometimes he takes chance on some extra walks.
No. That never happened. It's not on video. It didn't happen.
But, or sometimes he just senses that I need a minute. And so he and Chance will maybe go on a particularly long walk that day.
But I will say that because we work camp, that lots of times during the day I am out working on projects. Now, lots of times you will join us, like all those fences we've built. Cindy's been involved in every fence. She may spend 2 hours inside getting the campground paperwork ready for the day, taking reservations, and then she's out there helping. Yeah.
But here lately, I've been having to spend more time in the office, which is not my favorite thing because we don't really have a true office
Our camper's
/ store. And so that is taking up a lot of space. And I don't like to be in the camper all day long, every day. And I have been training someone, so that has required me to, just be in that office space for longer. So this is a nice getaway for this weekend. I've finally gotten one of our work campers trained. I think she feels comfortable enough. And she's taken all the phone calls and handling the reservations and stuff for us, and the arrivals and departures.
And I think they've been living on the road for 3 years. And
they live in a smaller space than we do.
They live in a 21-foot, I want to say it's a Jayco or 22-foot Jayco with no slides. So they are
really tiny.
Really tiny. And they have said the same thing, that they were a little worried about hitting the road and tanking their relationship. But they have found also that the small space does make them closer together. So, what am I telling you? If you got a bad marriage and you hate each other, move into an RV and travel the country. You'll be fine. No. what I'm saying is, if you use the opportunity to live tiny with your person, that I think you can develop a relationship that exceeds your expectations. And we love it. Cindy, will you ever move back into a big old house?
No.
Will you move into a house at all?
I doubt it.
We've talked about buying a lot somewhere, and when we get older, putting a tiny home, which will bump us up to like 420 square feet to 460 square feet. A lot more room. But it will have walls. So I'm not sure how I feel about that. I know right now we're 6 years into the 20-year plan, and the 20-year plan is to stay in Tiffy and do as much traveling as we want or as we can afford. So anyway, that's all we wanted to talk about today.
And ladies, leave a comment. I'm just curious to know how many of the guys out there, or if it's the girls, that have to name their car or their motor or their RV. Just curious.
All right, so we have.
I've never felt the desire to do that.
No. Your Mustang, your '66 Mustang, you had a name for her.
No, I did not.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Must have been some other chick
100%.
I was seeing.
100% positive. I have never named not one of my vehicles.
Everything. Our motorhome is Tiffy, because she's a Tiffin, and you're riding along with us in the adventure Jeep. So.
Yeah.
All right, so Cindy has a request. So I have a request for the ladies too. Okay? You've had a request for the ladies, I have a request for the ladies. Are your husbands as awesome as Cindy's husband? Leave a comment down below.
Okay.
Safe travels out there. Happy Valentine's Day. And we'll see you on the next one.